Embattled Fort Charlotte MP Roger Rollins awaits a decision on his fate in the Progressive Liberal Party. Government has collected $20 million in web shop back taxes. A man shot and killed off Market Street is the country's latest murder. And the deputy leader of the F&M raises questions over the Bank of the Bahamas bailout. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Christie spoke casually with two of his outspoken MPs this afternoon, Fort Charlotte's Dr. Roger Rollins and Bamboo Town's Renward Wells, in a bid to re-establish connections. With the PLP's National General Council 1 day away from revealing the punishment of Dr. Rollins, the embattled Progressive Liberal Party member believes the country has more important things to worry about. Kyle Joaquin reports.
At the end of the day, we have far more pressing issues and concerns to deal with and address. We're talking about a very important one upstairs in relation to electricity. We have crime that we have to seriously address. We have unemployment. We've got a lot of young people who are feeling marginalized. Those things are far more important than the potential ramifications of a decision made as it relates to a member of parliament.
Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Roger Rollins says whatever punishment the National General Council of the Progressive Liberal Party comes up with, it should be the least of the country's worries. On Monday, the disciplinary committee formally recommended to the leadership of the PLP that Rollins be suspended for no less than 6 months, this after he repeatedly hit out at Prime Minister Perry Christie in Parliament. During the lunch break of Parliament, both Bamboo Town MP Renward Wells and Rollins met with Christie in the House of Assembly for a meeting to re-establish connections, that according to Prime Minister Christie. Previously, Rollins blasted Christie for constant quoting of Bible scriptures and at one point even called for there to be new political leadership in the country. When asked by the party's chairman to apologize, Rollins said he would not apologize for something he meant to say. Now, as for what some people call the harsh criticism of Prime Minister Christie and his government, Dr. Rollins said he's not being disrespectful at all, but that they will continue.
When I speak, sometimes people perceive it as being disrespectful. Unfortunately, by my facial expressions, by my tone and forcefulness, I portray that position. But I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just want the country to function better. And if what I say is apparently a voice of dissent, it's so that that particular view can be taken into consideration.
Rollins says it's when people like him who are supposed to keep their government's feet to the fire keep silent that governments are surprised when they lose an election. He said in all honesty, he really just wants to see the Prime Minister succeed. When
those views are taken into account, maybe it will cause for some change in approach that will inure to the benefit of the country. So I'm not, my particular point of view is not that you should agree with everything simply because it is the party's accepted position. That, as you know, may not always be the right position. And so if I espouse a different view, it's not because I'm trying to undermine the party or the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Christie recently told the Nassau Guardian that he is disappointed in his new generation of leaders. Marco City MP Greg Moss has already been fired as chairman of the National Assurance Board, Rollins was fired as Gaming Board chairman, and Renward Wells was fired as parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Works. Wells, who has supported Rollins since he began speaking out, said his position hasn't changed and he still stands behind Rollins for speaking his mind.
From my perspective, we ought to be able to come in and even though it might be offensive to some persons at times, to be able to speak to it. But we speak to things in a responsible manner. That's why we're considered honorable. And so at the end of the day, the National General Council will take into consideration all the things that were said, and they will make a recommendation.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Government has collected millions more in back taxes from web shops. That's according to Minister of Tourism Obi Wilchcombe, who also revealed the government has sent out requests for proposals and has already gotten responses. Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
Today, Wilchcombe revealed that the government has collected even more taxes from web shop owners, insisting that it has tripled in a matter of weeks.
Earlier this month, Tourism Minister Obi Wilshcombe said the government collected $5 million in web shop tax arrears as of December 1st, 2014. Today, he said it's around $20 million.
And I think there's some outstanding fees that we're now collecting, but about $20 million so far collected. So we're moving in a direction. In fact, I think it's going to be beyond the fee that we had expected. I think we'll exceed that.
The gaming bill was passed in mid-September, paving the way for the industry to be regulated. As a requirement, web shop operators are also required to pay significant taxes before they can apply for licenses. Wilsham confirmed today the government has issued requests for proposals.
The RFPs went out, and 10 persons up to yesterday have already gotten their RFPs. They paid their $10,000. So they're moving along with all the specifications that are being directed by the Gaming Board.
Web shops will be given around 6 weeks to comply with the requirements of the RFPs before they can receive their licenses. Wilshcombe said 12 web shops are involved in the process. Based on the penalties, application fees, business license fees, and housing and agent fees, web shop owners could pay the government around $30 million, according to officials. The web shop industry is expected to be fully regulated by the end of April or May.
They sent through their lawyers to the ministry, and we're now looking at some of their concerns. But beyond that, I think everything has gone very well. In fact, I feel quite good.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
A 35-year-old man became the 7th murder victim of the year after police say he was lured to an alley off Market Street and shot and killed. The incident happened shortly before noon. As police processed the scene, many curious onlookers gathered around, and several cars on the nearby busy Market Street slowed down to get a look. Chief Superintendent Paul Roll was at the scene today. He said police met the victim suffering from multiple gunshot injuries. He was pronounced dead at the scene by EMS.
Police received reports of gunshots being discharged here in the Hard Rock Alley area of Market Street. Officers responded to this location where they met a male, an adult male, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds about the body. EMS was summoned to treat the individual and had pronounced him lifeless.
Roll said the victim was lured to the area after he received a phone call. Upon his arrival, he was accosted by a gunman.
This male, we believe, was lured here by an individual who contacted him and asked him to meet him at this location. He came, and while standing there waiting for the individual to meet him, he was accosted and shot multiple times about the body.
Roll said police are not certain exactly how many people were involved in the incident, but officials know the victim received a phone call from only one person. Roll would not divulge specific details about the victim, but said he knew him personally.
I know him personally. I know him personally. Okay. I know him personally. And I'll leave it like that. I have no further comment on his background other than what I've given you.
Roll said police are still in the beginning stages of their investigations, but are following leads. Well, one day after police released their 2014 crime statistics, which indicated crime was down overall last year, Prime Minister Perry Christie is warning that cracking down on crime is integral in protecting the tourism product.
Crime must be minimized. It's not going to work in this country if we become tolerant and just accept that this is localized and some young men killing each other up. That we ourselves must have an interest in speaking to this issue.
During his annual Meet the Press event on Tuesday, Commissioner of Police Ellison Greenslade said crime was down overall by 18% last year. While it was down overall, the murder rate went up in 2014 by 3% over the previous year. Commissioner Greenslade called 2014 a difficult year for law enforcement. And Christie agreed, saying crime should be an obligation for the sake of not only Bahamians, but also the nation's #1 industry.
When the Americans or the Canadians put out a crime advisory, people don't understand that that don't come to Cable Beach or that come to Paradise Island. They see Bahamas. And so we have an obligation there.
The Prime Minister made the comments while speaking at the 2015 Tourism Symposium that was held at Super Club's Breezes Resort this morning. He called on workers in the tourism sector to be agents of change, saying the product depends heavily on those in the front lines.